I want to ask you something before we get into today's episode. Think about the last time a habit fell apart on you. And I mean really fell apart. Not just a missed day, but the whole thing unraveled. The streak broke, the motivation dipped, and you quietly stopped. What story did you tell yourself about why? Most of us go straight into character. I'm lazy, I don't have enough discipline. We treat it like a personal failing, like there's something fundamentally broken in us that just can't follow through. But what if that story, the one thing that you've been carrying around, is simply wrong? What if the habit didn't fail because of you? What if it failed because of the world you were trying to do it in? Welcome back to Daily Habits. I'm Sukh Sapra. In today's episode, might genuinely change the way you think about every single habit you've tried to build. We're talking about environment design, the idea that the spaces you live and work in are either quietly working for you or silently working against you. By the end of this, you'll be able to look around whatever room you're in right now and immediately see it differently. Not as neutral background, but as something you can shape, something you can design, something that can do half the work for you. Let's get into it. Let me tell you a story. For a long time, my bedroom was basically a second living room. Phone on the bedside being charged, watch right next to it, or Netflix on until I drifted off. And when I wasn't watching something, I was either scrolling my phone or just absorbing whatever came next. And here's the thing about my life that made this harder than it sounds. I'm a DJ, so some nights I'm finishing or getting home at maybe 2, 3 in the morning, still wired, still loud music in my head, and adrenaline still running. And then 2 days later, I'm supposed to be in bed at 10 p.m. and living a completely different life. My sleep schedule wasn't just bad, it was genuinely split into two. And for a long time, I told myself that that was just the price of the life that I'd chosen. Like late nights are just part of it, broken sleep is going to be a part of it, and that's just how it's done. But what I realized, and this is what today's episode is all about, is that I wasn't just dealing with an irregular sleep schedule, I was making it significantly worse by the environment I'd built around my sleep. The phone, the TV, the lights, the noise, none of it was helping me transition. It was all keeping me in the wrong gear. And when I started changing those things, not my schedule, but just the environment around my sleep, it got better. Not perfect, but genuinely got better. And here's what I know now that I didn't know then. My environment was just completely set up for the wrong version of me. And that's the thing nobody tells you in the self-improvement space. We spend too much time trying to fix the person, the mindset, the motivation, the morning routine, and almost no time at all thinking about the environment that the person is operating inside. There's a simple idea that changed how I see all of this. Your behavior on any given day isn't just about who you are. It's about who you are in the context of where you are. Change the context and you change your behavior without having to change yourself at all. So let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you're trying to build a habit. Because once you understand this, everything else clicks. Your brain's primary job is not to make you productive. It's not to make you healthy. It's fundamentally to keep you alive while spending as little energy as possible. That's it. It's an efficiency machine above all else. And the way it conserves energy is through cues. Triggers in your environment that tell your brain what to do next without having to think about it. This is why habits exist in the first place. Your brain automates repeated behavior so it can free up processing power for genuinely new decisions. The problem is, it doesn't distinguish between habits you choose and habits you just fell into. It runs them all the same way. Think about this, your phone buzzes and your hand moves before you've consciously decided to pick it up. You sit on the sofa and within 2 minutes you're scrolling. Not because you decided to scroll, but because the sofa is a cue that triggers that sequence. You walk into the kitchen at 10 p.m. and open the fridge, not because you're hungry, but because that's what you do in the kitchen at 10 p.m. A researcher named B.J. Fogg spent years studying why habits stick and why they don't. And the thing that kept coming up wasn't motivation, it was friction. The amount of effort, physical, mental, or emotional, it takes to start a behavior. High friction behaviors don't get done. Low friction behaviors happen almost automatically. So here's the question that should replace, how do I get more motivated? And it's this, how do I make the right behavior the easiest behavior? That question is the foundation of everything I'm talking about today. Before you can redesign anything, you need to actually see it. And I mean really see it. Not the way you're used to walking past it every day, but with fresh eyes. So I want to walk you through an audit. 4 environments. And for each one, the question is the same. Is this space designed for the person I want to become? Or is it just a reflection of who I've been defaulting into? Environment 1, your physical home. Where do you spend most of your time? What's within arm's reach? What's at eye level? What's visible when you walk in the door? Your home is constantly broadcasting signals. The biscuits on the counter are a signal. The trainers by the door are a signal. The book on the bedside table is a signal. The phone charger plugged next to your bed is a signal. You're receiving all of them all the time, and mostly without noticing. The question is whether those signals are pointing you toward the person you want to be or pulling you toward comfortable defaults. Environment 2, your workspace. Does your desk help you focus or fragment your attention? Is it set up for deep work or distraction? Clutter isn't just aesthetically annoying, there's consistent research showing it raises cortisol levels and makes sustained concentration significantly harder. Your workspace is either an asset or a tax on your energy. Environment 3, your phone. Your phone is also one of the most powerful environments you inhabit and one of the most designed. Every app on your home screen is a cue, every notification is a trigger, and those aren't accidents. They were engineered by very smart people to be as frictionless as possible to open. The question isn't whether your phone is affecting your habits, it is. The question is whether you've made any deliberate choices about how. Environment 4, your social environment. This one is harder to physically rearrange, but it might be the most powerful one of the four. The people you spend the most time with are setting your norms. What feels normal in your social circle, like what time people eat, whether people exercise, how people talk about their health, their ambitions, their time, that shapes your behavior more than anything else. And this isn't about cutting people off, it's about being conscious, because you can do everything else right and still find yourself slowly pulled toward the average of the 5 people around you. So, do the audit. Honestly, what does your environment say about who you're becoming? Before we get into the actual design principles, I want to address something because I know some of you are listening to this and thinking, that's great, Sukh, but I live with other people. I have a partner, I have children, I share a workspace. I can't just redesign everything to suit me. You're right that you can't control everything. You might not be able to clear the kitchen of foods that other people in your house want to eat. You might not be able to choose the layout of your office. But here's what I've found. Most people use I can't control everything as a reason to control nothing. You might not be able to redesign the house, but you can designate one drawer in the fridge that's yours. You might not be able to control what snacks are in the cupboard, but you can control what's at eye level when you open it. You might not be able to change the whole office, but you can change what's on your desk, what's on your phone screen, or what your first 10 minutes at work look like. And the social environment piece, you might not be able to change who's in your life, but you can be intentional about who you add to it. The podcasts you listen to, the communities you join, the people you seek conversations with, those are all choices. Environment design isn't about having total control. It's about finding the levers you have and actually pulling them. Start with what you can change because even one small change in the right place can shift the whole pattern. All right, here's where it gets practical. 4 principles, and these are the tools. Principle 1, reduce friction for good habits. Make the behavior you want easier to start because beginning is almost the hardest part. Once you're in it, you're usually fine. Want to read more? Put the book on your pillow. You literally can't go to sleep without moving it. Want to exercise in the morning? Put your gym clothes on the night before. And I always say this, some people sleep in them. I know it sounds extreme, but it works brilliantly. Want a journal? Leave the journal open on the page with a pen on top, wherever you have your morning coffee. And this is a test. Could you start this habit in under 2 minutes with zero preparation from where you're standing right now? If not, remove one step. Principle 2, add friction for bad habits. The reverse. If you want to do something less, make it harder to start. Log out of social media apps every time you use them. That one extra step of logging back in is enough to break the automatic loop. Don't keep food in the house you don't want to eat, not as a punishment, but as a design choice. Put the TV remote in a drawer. Charge your phone in another room. Delete the apps you keep defaulting to. These aren't restrictions, they're just architecture. Principle 3, use visual cues. Out of sight is out of mind, but insight is in mind, and you can use that strategically. Vitamins next to the coffee machine. You go there every morning. Stack the habit onto the existing routine. Running shoes by the front door. Yoga mat rolled out in the corner, not stuffed in the cupboard. Water bottle on the desk, not in the kitchen. Make what you want to do visible. Make it feel like it's already a part of your day, just waiting for you to show up. Principle 4, design for your worst self. What does the path of least resistance look like in your home, your workspace, your phone? When you're running on empty, is it pointing you toward your habit or away from them? Let me tell you what this looks like for me in practice because I want to be clear. I didn't do enormous life overhaul. I made 3 changes, small ones, and the cumulative effect was significant. The first was moving my phone away from the bed completely. It charges in another part of the room. And this sounds minor, but it changed my morning in a way I didn't expect. Before, the first thing I did before my feet hit the floor was check messages, check notifications, check what was happening in the world. I was starting every day with someone else's agendas, reactive from the first second. Now, the first inputs I get in the morning are my own. No one's urgency, no one's news cycles, no one's opinions, just my own thoughts in my own space. And then I decide how I want to show up that day rather than responding to how the world has already started without me. That one change alone, I genuinely can't overstate what it did. The second thing was stripping back my workspace. I had notifications on everything, a cluttered desk, tabs open for every half finished thought. I removed everything that wasn't directly related to whatever I was working on that day. And the focus that came back wasn't gradual, it was immediate. The third thing was embarrassingly simple. I put a water bottle on my desk. That's literally it. I went from barely drinking water during the day to drinking enough, not because I was disciplined, but because it was there. And none of these required willpower. I didn't become a different version of myself. I just stopped fighting the environment and started designing it. So here's what I want you to do this week. One thing, pick one habit that keeps slipping, or one behavior you keep defaulting into that you don't want. And ask yourself honestly, is my environment making this easier or harder? Then make one change, move one object, delete one app, put one thing somewhere visible, and add one step to something you want to do less. Do it today, not tomorrow, not this weekend, today. Ideally in the next hour, while this is still in your head, because the gap between intention and action is where most good ideas go to die. Don't let this be one of them. And here's what I want to leave you with. Everything you've been working on in this series, the energy management, the morning rituals, the mental foundations, all of it gets easier when the environment is on your side because you're no longer spending that energy fighting your surroundings. You're spending it on actually living. The version of you that wakes up, moves well, thinks clearly, eats well, focuses deeply, that person doesn't need more motivation. They just need a space that makes those things the natural thing to do. Go build that space. One change right now. I'm Sukh Sapra. This is Daily Habits, and I'll see you next week.